Hello, I'm Sharon Marie Jones, the author of the Grace Ella series. I'm going to read you the first chapter of the new Grace Ella book, Grace Ella, PIXIE Pandemonium. Things that go bump in the night. It was 9 o'clock on Friday night, and after enjoying a bubbly bath and a hot chocolate topped with a melting marshmallow mountain, Grace Ella flopped onto her bed. "This has been the best week ever," she said with a loud yawn. Grace Ella had just returned from witch camp. She had learned new spells and potions, and even how to fly on a broomstick. She was now the proud owner of her very own magical plant, the stinging screamer. Its star-shaped flowers could whisper secret spells. "I can't wait to tell Bedward and Fleer all about our witch camp adventure," she said, snuggling down under the duvet. Her cat, Mr Whiskins, replied with a gentle purring snore, and soon Grace Ella's eyes drifted closed. Grace Ella stirred. It was inky dark, but something had woken her. Rustle, rustle. She sat upright and rubbed her eyes. Mr Whiskins was fast asleep at the foot of her bed, his whiskers twitching as he dreamed. Thud, thump. She switched on the string of starlights hanging above her headboard and squinted around her room. "Mr Whiskins," she whispered, nudging him with her foot. "Are you awake?" "No, I am very much asleep," mumbled Mr Whiskins, who was not a cat who liked to be woken up in the middle of the pitch-dark night. "Can you hear something?" she asked. "Yes, you," he muttered. Shuffle, scuffle. "There! Did you hear it? I think it's coming from over in the corner." With a sleepy sigh, Mr Whiskins stretched his front legs, kneaded his paws and padded up the bed. They peered into the corner of the room. On the floor was Grace Ella's unpacked rucksack from witch camp. It was moving. The zip was slowly opening. Zip! Out of the opening rucksack came a pointy green hat with a jingly bell, followed by 2 twinkling eyes, a snub nose and a mischievous grin. Grace Ella gawped. Standing in the middle of her bedroom was Buddy Whiffleflip, the forest pixie from witch camp. "How? What? When?" she spluttered. "Please tell me this isn't happening," groaned Mr Whiskins, covering his eyes with his front paws. Buddy Whiffleflip reached up high, then touched his toes. "I must have dozed off," he said, hopping up onto the bed. Mr Whiskins burrowed under the pillow. "What are you doing here?" asked a still stunned Grace Ella. "Pixie work is tremendously tiring, so I'm here for a holiday," Buddy replied. He started counting off his daily must-do list. Forest patrol, right to stroll, dust mixing, tidying, mischief making, busy from the crow's caw to owl's out. Grace Ella didn't know what to say, but she couldn't help feeling a fizzle of excitement. There was a runaway pixie sitting on her bed. "How did you get into my rucksack? I didn't see you in there when I was packing." You should never leave your bag alone in the middle of a magical forest. You never know what may be lurking nearby. A whispering willow fairy could have fluttered in, and that would have been terribly troublesome for you. Grace Ella frowned. She hadn't left her rucksack in the forest. She'd been carrying it the whole time. Until she had stopped with Penelope Pendle, head of the Witch Council, who let her dig up her stinging screamer. She had put her rucksack down so that she could pull the plants from the ground. That's when Buddy must have sneaked in. This was an official pixie predicament. "Well, you can't just turn up uninvited," Mr Whiskins was saying, coming out from under the pillow. "You'll have to go straight back to the forest." "You cats can be so grumpsome," huffed Buddy. "I think it's up to Grace Ella to decide if I can stay." 2 pairs of eyes stared at Grace Ella. One pair wide and twinkling, the other narrow and glowering. What was she going to do? Her mam would definitely not approve of having a pixie as a guest, and her dad, well, he probably wouldn't notice. No, she couldn't have a forest pixie staying with them. She would have to send a message to Penelope Pendle to come and collect him. But it would be fun, and not really any bother, just for a short while. I suppose it would be okay, only for a few days. "Yippee!" Buddy squealed and somersaulted into the air. Mr Whiskins slowly shook his head, as if Grace Ella had just made the biggest mistake of her entire life. "But you'll have to do what I say," she warned. "I can't let Mam find out you're here, or you'll be back in the forest faster than a finger click." "I'll be on my best behaviour," said Buddy, standing as still and as tall as a pixie could possibly be. Right, well, it's the middle of the night, so we should all be asleep. Now that is a good idea, said Mr Whiskins. Hopefully we'll wake up in the morning and all this will have been a bad dream. I'm too excited to sleep, said Buddy, flipping and flying. If you're going to stay here, you'll have to follow my rules, said Grace Ella in her strictest voice. And the first rule is that nighttime is for sleeping. So let's settle down and go to sleep. Buddy begrudgingly stopped bouncing and bundled himself next to Mr Whiskins. I am not a fluffy blanket, the cat growled, shuffling to the edge of the bed. Buddy wiggled and wriggled, then kicked out his legs, striking Mr Whiskins and sending him with a bump to the floor. Good night, Buddy. Sleep tight. Grace Ella couldn't stop smiling as she thought of the fun they would have over the next few days. Mr Whiskins, on the other hand, was not at all happy as he curled up under the bed, grumbling about pesky pixies. Now, what could possibly go wrong whilst having a pixie staying?